Problem at the present time very much focuses on their forward line. Main's had 1 kick, Anthony's had 2 kicks, Zach hasn't had a kick, and Pavlich has had 5 kicks.
Second half underway, and the bounce favours Sandlands. He gets a fist, but straight to Douglas, to Yench, and it begins kind of as it finished, with the Adelaide Crows dominating at the clearances. Slips up into the hands of Van Berlo, dragged down, got the kick. Petrenko really got the skates on, got there to make the ground, and unselfishly tried to find Taylor Walker. An early break for the Dockers. Mazungu to Johnson, squeezes the pass to Main. They had the momentum going in at half-time. They kicked the last 2 goals of the opening half. Barlow, they were 36 down with about 6 minutes to go in the second term. The Dockers right down the margin, 23.
Now here's, oh gee, I thought it was going to be Zach Clark. Good kick to De Boer here.
Yeah, Pavlich found him beautifully, and De Boer can keep that momentum going.
They're a side, Troy, that just seems to me to be a fluid side, and they need to be on the move all the time. As soon as the opposition get the pressure on, I think it impacts so badly on their skills that they then break down. And once again, we've got a really good flow of ball from the deepened defence. Mistake from Petrenko ends up with a shot at goal for De Boer.
Just inside 50, he gets under it a little. Doesn't have the distance, and there's no one on the goal line to compete with Jacobs.
No, I think that's probably a reasonable decision, Dwayne. He was only 35 metres out. He shanked that.
Don't you have to have a plan for all scenarios, Gerard?
Well, I think the scenario there is if he misses the ball,
don't shank it.
You're in your zone and you're trying to keep the ball in.
Clark, from 50, heads goalward. The bounce will tell. It's unkind.
Well, we just saw a snippet of the athleticism of Zach Clark there. I still like to see him, Jared. He's got to have a run in the ruck too, just to get him around the ground a little bit more. And maybe Sandilands go as our key forward for 5 minutes instead of going off the ground.
I reckon
around a bit.
Mark Harvey introduced him in a lot of games as a wingman, and he'd be the tallest wingman, I think. Jimmy Stein's played there a couple of games, but he'd be right up there with Jimmy. He might have even be taller. But he was fine. He would run and he could mark and he could flow with the ball, but he's not reading it at full forward.
Douglas left it behind. Dawson likewise left it behind. Van Berlo squeezed a kick that found Jenkins. Dawson back to the run to Mundy. Jenkins stole it back again. Slips a handball to Tippett. It slipped through his hands. McFarlane.
Well done.
Dawson. Crowley. Mazungu.
Richo played up on the wing for a season.
He did.
Nearly won a Brownlow.
So did a bloke called Lee Walker who I coached. He was 6'6".
Barlow.
In the old.
And a WA boy as well. Inboard to Sandlands.
That's a courageous kick, but that's what you've got to do if you're going to win.
He's got Clark on the outside and he hits him. He has Pavlich in a one-on-one. He ignores Pav, goes to Ballantyne, sits it up.
Shocking kick.
Sure. Had the height, had the poise. Bounces it to Thompson. Rutten, Dangerfield. Thompson. Corralled by Clark, but he couldn't get him. Dangerfield, Thompson. Petrenko needs to go. Ibbotson did and beat him. Good start to the second half for Fremantle.
Hayden Ballantyne was a leading option then, and just a horrible kick over his head. You've got to kick the ball even on the ground to Hayden Ballantyne. You think you'd get it every time.
Farland found Mazungu. Crowd starting to find some voice as well now. Pierce.
Well, I think they sense, Dwayne, that their boys are up for the task just at the moment. This is a really critical time for the Dockers. They've got to turn this little bit of a flurry into some goals. Enjoying the work of Sandilands. He's pushing hard forward. You're not seeing it on screen, but he's working really hard off the ball.
Johnson from McFarlane. Here's the lead for Sandlands. A spear, and it hits him, and he spills it. And now Adelaide on the run, on the rebound. Walker looks up. Not a lot to go too long. Wants to maintain possession. Short kick, horrendous. Johnson. Barlow. Wrapped up by Van Berlo. And dragged down by Nathan Van Berlo. His brother Jay was dropped by Fremantle this week. Jacko, not allowed to play against his older brother.
I'm not sure regarding the selection there, but much debate about Silvani getting dropped as well. But Jared, you mentioned about Fremantle need to take those risks, but I question whether they've got the players with the class to go through the middle of the ground to take those risks.
Well, we're not going to find out, Jacko, unless they go there.
Yeah, I'm with you.
And you'd rather die asking the question than die not knowing. At the moment, they're 4 goals down on the scoreboard. They need to have a crack.
Douglas floats one to the wing. Johnson.
He's had a good game.
Been good. Yeah.
He's had a good year.
Yeah, one of their highest possession per game winners.
Good running here. Crichton really working hard.
So Neal puts it in front of Crichton. Needs a kind bounce. Petrenko ran him down, used the body and used some experience. Sidestepped Ibbotson with ease. Poke pass, didn't hit the target. Duffield cuts it off. First goal important right now for momentum in this third term. Ball up.
Well, Adelaide's been the side who's turned the ball over about 3 times coming forward, mainly because they're set up beautifully behind the ball, Fremantle. Johnson, as you said, has had a really good game, and he's now the loose man, about 30 metres off this pack.
Yeah, I think Adelaide's just trying to be a little bit clever with some of their kicking disposals, and the pressure from the Crows, the Dockers, is making them turn the ball over. The substitutes are a really good comparison here, Shura. You've got, for Fremantle, you've got Hayden Crozier, who's a first gamer, and for the Crows, you've got Graham Johncock, who's got 250-odd games of experience and is a gun.
That's better from Zach Clark. Didn't mark it, but at least he ran at the ball.
Dangerfield looks up. He's only got shorts on. Van Berlo. Walker wants it long while he's in a one-on-one. And up. And Zach Dawson, too good for him there with a fumble from Zach. Jacobs flicks it back to Zach's man Walker. 50 from goal. Smith. Walker. Oh, took them on and ball. He played for the high free. Didn't get it. Fremantle on the rebound. He's still down, Walker. Claims he wasn't acting. Umpire thought he was. Ballantyne through some traffic. Crichton. Ballantyne. And he bangs it long. Anthony needs to get up and go. Stayed down and hit him on the forehead.
I think it came off the hand.
Yep, poor pleasure. To the wing. Jenkins, 2 to beat. Mazungoji nearly beat them both. He did beat them both. That was a huge win for Josh Jenkins.
Yeah, it was good work from Josh.
He likes contact, doesn't he? Oh, it's on behind play too. Crichton.
The game's lifted a gear. Tippett. Johnson got a fist in there. He hurt himself, but he needed to do it. And he's still down with a shoulder problem.
Well, let's see if the umpy got it right. Well, he's hit the ball.
Might have got him in the chin as well. There's Johnson getting an elbow right in the back.
You said it was on between Crichton and Petrenko behind play. Crichton wins that little battle.
Oh, the Bronx cheers for Jack Anthony.
At least he's starting to get it a little.
Oh, he's got one real long down the line. He hasn't seen it.
Duffield.
Barlow's still free on the half-forward flank for... Well, it's too far now, but that was on all the time.
Johnson. McFarlane. Bounce, but he doesn't use his toe. Puts it out in front of Broughton. De Boer. He rode the bump beautifully. Handed it to Broughton. Needs to hit Ballantyne. Lurking inside 52 to beat. Thumped away from him. Sloan kept it alive and Ballantyne made him earn it across the line.
Well done.
Glenn Jakovic.
Just you can see what Fremantle are trying to do, but they need Zach Clark to go forward. Hayden Ballantyne 2-on-1. He's the smallest bloke on the ground. No, he's got a lot of courage, but need a tall option down there.
Douglas rolls it towards the line.
It'd be a good scrap, sure. Sloan and Ballantyne.
I know I'd back, Jared.
Doughty with Ballantyne right now. And this game in the balance. 22 points the margin. Fremantle have hit the last 2 goals of the game. Barlow to the pocket. And the pad's got 2 to beat, but he wins a free.
Sandland's off the ground, so Clark's getting his chance to get involved.
Yeah.
And this is a big shot.
And he's had plenty of big shots in his career. The good news is that he's had plenty of them from here.
Tough shot.
It is. Kicked 11 goals, 8 this year, Matthew Pavlich, coming into this game, and he's had a couple of shots today. He's got 1 goal, but none have been as important as this. Concentration written all over his face. Big crowd roar as he runs in. Just across the face.
Adelaide's last goal, 24-minute mark in the second quarter. So pleasing from Fremantle's aspect is Adelaide looked like blowing the game away before half-time. They're right in the contest now.
That's it, just in that line.
Doughty. Doubt in his mind. Sloane. Clark comes at him. Johnson. Broughton. All had a touch on it. Rutten back to Sloane. Petrenko caught. Clark to full forward. Main hasn't seen a lot of it. Doesn't see it here. Just the 4 possessions so far today. Chris Main. A good spot for a ball in. Tippett doing some ruck work. Hands it out. Hacked clear by Smith. Johnson couldn't quite mark it. Jenkins tried to paddle on. Kicked it straight to Dawson. Ibbotson. Main might go up. He doesn't. He gets buffeted out of it. Valentine was always going to have a shot. Out on the full.
Now, what they don't want here is Adelaide to switch the ball because they're pressured it so well. They want to stop the switch here and let them kick down the line and keep the zone that tight that they know they're going to only go one way here. They've done a fairly good job so far. Let's just wait till that might go late the opposite side, but I don't think so. They should defend this quite well now, Fremantle.
Clark's ball, and Jenkins beat him to it, but couldn't mark it. Johnson stayed down. De Boer. Can he find a chest? Valentine again. 2 minutes to beat. Ball hits the deck. No mark paid. Talia.
Good pressure.
Doughty. Hill. Another player who hasn't seen a lot of it. Dangerfield.
It's a nice little hole, that one. Dangerfield and Hill. Enjoying Jenkins' work. Sure, he is really pushing out, but you can see here Ross Lyon's problem with his talents.
Free kick off the ball.
And it's going to Clark.
No, it's going to Barlow up the ground.
Okay, because it goes where the ball is. Yes, you're spot on, Shuri. The incident happened on 50, but Barlow will take the kick closer to goal. And there has been a report, we understand. We'll try and check that out shortly with Glenn Jakovic to confirm it. Here it is, bottom of your screen. And, Vince got him. Bernie Vince.
I think Clark was the aggressor early, but there wasn't a free kick in it, and Bernie just took it over the top there, Dwayne.
And this becomes the biggest kick of the game. And he bends it back beautifully. Maximum impact.
They deserve that, Jerry, because they've held the ball in their forward line for probably 7 minutes.
Yep, they haven't been able to get it out. And sometimes the in-swinger works for you. This one started outside the goalpost. And I'm not sure what his natural swing is, but it doesn't matter if they go through. Here's another look at it. There's Clark and Bernie Vince. Bernie gets up. And, well, it was not a premeditated, but he obviously clocked him nicely. The umpire saw it, and he's off the ground and reported. And a goal. Well, Michael Barlow gets the goal. And you can just see there that the Dockers had 7 inside 50s in the second half against the Eagles last week. They've already had 8 so far this week.
All the momentum with Fremantle. And they get the clearance from the congestion. Doughty caught high according to the umpire. Crichton.
Oh, that's a bad free kick, that. That's being over-aggressive, being caught up in the emotion of what's happening out there.
It's a good move forward by Big Jacobs.
Jacobs called to go. Not sure he went over the mark, but Sloane takes the mark. Outside 50. Crowd on the edge of their seats right now.
Again, going for too much, the Crows at the present time by foot.
Brighton to Mundy. Caught. Almost threw that away to himself. High hat. Shaw cuts it off. Both these teams coming off losses last week. Dangerfield inside 50 nicely, and
too easy.
Jenkins takes the mark. 45 out.
Well, I watched Jack Anthony behind Dangerfield. Then his rebound or trying to stop the flow on by running forward allowed 2 players to run past him. I think his days as a senior player at this level are nearly gone. That was like something you'd see in a Metropolitan game. Just not good enough.
Adelaide have played 14 goalless minutes in this third term. stop Fremantle's run. Jenkins pushes it slightly, but it's there. Silence tells the story at Patersons Stadium.
It was a nice rebound goal by the Adelaide Crows. And Shuri, I missed what you were saying about Jack Anthony, but clearly you didn't like it.
Well, behind the play, Jared, he allowed his opponent to run off. Now, Dangerfield could have handballed to him, and it was Brent Riley. Just at that stage, he allowed him to run off, then he allowed another Adelaide Crow without trying to fill the spot around either Dangerfield to at least put some defensive pressure on.
Rossline and Bretton Sanderson head-to-head for the first time. These two teams had not met for over a year. It's round 3 last year that they last met. Of course, Neil Craig and Mark Harvey were in control then. Hill in control now. Little wide with the kick forward. Ballantyne can't make something of that.
Michael Johnson's having a fantastic game for Fremantle, up to 20 possessions, 8 rebounds from the back 50. Certainly setting Fremantle alight in this third quarter. They've just got to get results from his good entries into the 50.
By the way, Fremantle did win their last battle by 25 points last year, so they would believe they're well and truly in this. Dawson floats in, plays on quickly to Duffield. Squeezes the pass Crichton. Dangerfield left it behind for Rutten. Tries to burst through Hill, back to Dangerfield. Kick tussed, play on. Dawson, Duffield, Johnson.
Just got to get the finish right here. Sure, they're winning the ball back, but they're dominating inside.
Mazungu's next in line.
Neil, Ibbotson, Mazungu. Crichton. Adelaide getting numbers back.
Still got Pavley's long.
Mundy.
Well done.
Main. And this is his moment.
2 kicks, 2 handballs. Probably had a number of chases and tackles because he is one of the top 5 defensive forwards in the AFL. But at the moment, he needs to kick a goal to get this game back to a really competitive level.
He is 100% from set shots in 2012, Chris Main. He's kicked 15 goals, 2 for the year.
He just made it 30% harder, Dwayne.
Good call, Dwayne.
Was never in doubt, and the Dockers are back big time.
Great conversion, the pressure of the moment, and the pressure of the commentator's curse, but he did it magnificently well. And this is just well-worked football. They kept possession. It's their skills that have let them down too often, but not this time. Nice little hit-up kick from Mundy. And I think in a side with a really deep list of midfielders, you'd see Mundy playing off that half-back line a hell of a lot more.
Well, look at the score sources here. Turnovers, well, pretty similar, but the stoppages is a real issue there. 3 goals, 2 with 4 points, and they've dominated the tap-outs for Fremantle, so that is an issue.
I saw David Mundy on screen. He's picking up Richie Douglas across the half-back line, and I think that's one area they need to find some depth over the next few years under Rossline. That's some creators off half-back, and he might be the man.
Tippett tunnelled a little by McFarlane. Jenkins running back to the square. Johnson with him. He's up, got a fingernail on it. Back of the pack. And not through for a defensive behind. 17 points the margin there. 3 goals from the lead, the Dockers. Pearce. Adelaide led by 36 points at one stage of the second term. Hugs the boundary.
Oh, boy.
Turnover. Van Berlo.
That is the one thing you could ill afford to do from that position, is just kick it long down the line, try and get a boundary throw in, knock it out of bounds.
Paul Pleasure might jump. He does. He was protected, and he made it his.
I know Rossline hasn't got a lot of hair left, but that kills you, Jared, that kick out of defence like that with no contest.
Well, he's still alive, but only just. And poor Pleasure, that was back to the future, Dwayne, seeing him go forward and playing as that medium-sized full forward.
Yeah, that was him 2010 style. Just the one game in 2011, Jason Porplusia. He's been back in form this year.
Interesting choice of kicks here, going back in the drop punt. A lot of blokes would go the boomerang, but he doesn't need to.
Adelaide Crows get one against the flow.
And he just emphasises what a powerful and potent forward line they are. Justin Porplusia bobs up. You've got Tippett and Taylor Walker, who aren't starring at the present time. Taylor Walker's been involved in a lot of goals, in creating a number of goals. Hasn't kicked a lot. Hasn't been quite Tippett's day at the present time. Hasn't sort of missed too much, but he just hasn't been the target. But you've also got the great skills of Porplusia, who we haven't quite seen on display often enough in the last 2 years.
Had a great 2010, horrendous 2011. Hasn't quite got back to great.
Dwayne,
but at least a little good.
Adelaide have activated their sub, Graham Jockholt, onto the ground for Josh Jenkins, substituted out.
Thanks for that, Jacko. John Cock up in this contest. Hits the deck, tie up. Umpire lets them sort it out themselves. John Cock. De Boer tried to get it out. Locked in there, 15 players around this ball, and the umpire lost his whistle. It's a mad scramble.
So,
this umpire continues to yell, play on.
The rolling maul.
Yeah, I can't see how the AFL would enjoy allowing that 30 seconds of play. Surely that should have been balled up 30 seconds ago.
Well, it should have been thrown up, so you get the congestion away quickly.
Jenkins off, John Cock the sub for Adelaide on. Hayden Crozier, the first game player for Fremantle, their sub, yet to be activated.
Yeah, he has, Dwayne, just been activated for Crazier's onto the ground.
Thanks for that,
Jack Anthony. Sorry, Jack Anthony's been substituted out of the ground.
So Jack Anthony off, and Hill is off and running. Takes on right. Good hip and shoulder from Clark. Main goes up. Broughton, the crumb to Pavlich, runs in and pumps up the volume at Patersons Stadium.
Well, I know Main has had a quiet day, but that was a sensational contest. 3 against 1 in the air, and it was just brilliant roving too. I think it was Broughton you called there, Dwayne, but well done to Chris Main, because once that ball went in there, you thought, oh, gee, they're going to get this ball out. Good clearance here. Barlow again, just it came off
Sandland's back.
Sandland's back, or De Boer's head or something like that. But just well done to Chris Main to compete inside forward 50.
And during the week, Matthew Pavlich came out in the press saying that I need a lead better. There was a headline news on the back page. Puts his hand up. He certainly has today, but needs a few players to join him if they're going to win this game today.
16 points the margin, still Adelaide in the lead. Douglas, Johnson, but Adelaide failed to kick a goal in the last quarter last week.
Well, there's that release kick to Sandiland, Stewart, that we said in the first half wasn't used.
I think it's time to put Scott Thompson to full forward and take Crowley with him. Shuri?
Yeah, he could do that because he hasn't had an impact as a midfielder.
They've got Porplusia down there. They've got John Cock that can go into the middle. And just at the moment, they're starting to lose a little grip on this game, the Crows.
Yeah, Rory Sloane only 3 possessions in this quarter, so Fremantle put a shutdown job on him. Very good.
Ballantyne back to half forward. Pavlich crunched. Rutten tied up. Van Berlo. Jacobs.
Interesting kick, looking for the boundary line. But
first gamer, Hayden Crozier. First touch in AFL footy, and he put his body on the line. Fremantle's #1 pick. Their pick 20 from last year's draft. Pumps it along to the Pav. Go to the captain with your first kick. Crowley couldn't make something of it. Still in the congestion. Ball up.
All right, they kicked a goal like this because they kept the ball in here for about 7 minutes. So the forward press, they're nearly all in 1/4 of the ground. Again, this is where Rossi Lyon, his philosophy about how they keep the ball in the forward line is based on this.
Muzungu. Sloane. Dawson thinks about the long jump, and Farlam is a fantastic contested mark. Ibbotson.
Dangerous kick.
Half forward, and Broughton made it his.
Well, Brent Riley has been a star this year, and at the moment he's being well beaten. His numbers are right down, and his man is really getting plenty of the football.
Crozier, the first gamer. Good contest there. Kept the ball in his area. Laid a splendid tackle and might win a free for holding the ball. He does.
Well done, son. Oh, this bloke's got to run around the shower to get wet, Wayne. Have a look at him. He's got about 3 pre-seasons away, but he's a left footer.
And he kicks to the hot spot. Pavlich up. Tip it up. Dangerfield. Massive pack around this ball. Umpires let it run again. Dangerfield traps it, was in turn trapped. Tries to shovel it between his legs. Taken over the line, Glenn Jakovic.
Well, sure, you mentioned about he has to walk around the shower to get wet, but Hayden Crozier, the way he attacked the ball like that just proves that you don't need size, so great intent.
Quick play on Hill, hacks it forward and nails the goal. It's a 10-point margin.
Magnificent stuff here by the Fremantle Dockers. And that's the sort of tap, Shuri, that Ross Lyon has been looking for. He thought he was going to have to wait for Christmas Day to get one like this. But there it is. And if it can happen once, it can happen more often than not. Brilliant stuff there from Aaron Sandilands. Or it was brilliant stuff from the recipient, Hill. But nevertheless, it resulted in a goal. And the Crows have got to get the cue back out of the rack, or they're about to burn 4 points. They had this game just about won at half-time. But they let 2 goals slip, and all of a sudden the home team have got a sniff, Jacko.
They certainly have 12-7 inside 50s in favour of Fremantle. I was at Amy Park last week when Adelaide just faded away in that last quarter, so Fremantle is certainly asking the question.
They failed to kick a goal in the last quarter last week, Adelaide. They might need to kick a few at least in the last to win this. It's a 10-point margin. They still lead, but you wouldn't know it from the crowd reaction here. Crowley, gang tackled, tied up. Umpire again lets it run. Poor pleasure. Bursts free with a handball. Mazungu takes it to the line. 56 seconds left to three-quarter time.
And Michael Johnson, loose man in defence. They've set up beautifully behind the ball. I think that's one of the big areas in this third quarter that has got him back into the game.
Hill. Slung. Van Berlo. Poor pleasure. Pearce couldn't take the mark. Walker and Dawson met. Johncock tried the slick pick, but he left it behind. Dawson, Crichton, Johnson pokes the pass to Sandilands and he holds it. Oh, not 50. Plays on quickly there to Crichton. To Pavlich. Off some hands. Ballantyne. Pavlich, he's the man. To his own advantage. Can flick it over the top. And he hits the post. Could have gone the left-handed handball. Ignored it. 9 points the margin, and a Hill about to be attended to by the trainer's shoulder problem.
Well, he's been dumped. This will be an AC joint. Bang, yep, AC joint for sure. But if he's still on the ground, you suspect it's only just a minor one. But that was a handball for Pavitt. Heap to go over the top. When you kick the goal, everyone forgets about it. But the 100% option was handball, and Big Zach to put it through.
Walker to Tippin. Kicks it to where he'd like to be. Centre half forward. Siren sounds on cue for Fremantle and their fans who roar and are off their chairs at one. If you've joined us late, Fremantle have come from 36 points down to trail by just 9 at the last change. 12-6-78 to 10-9-69. The Adelaide Crows by 9.